But let's advance from this topic so I don't just beat a dead horse, because we do have this story from the South China Morning Post. Civil war and dirty bombs. FBI and U.S. Department of Homeland Security on alert for threats after raid on Trump home. U.S. law enforcement agencies prepare for potentially violent fallout from FBI raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. FBI and DHS identify multiple articulated threats and calls for the targeted killing of judicial, law enforcement, and government officials. Yo, there's another story from Axios that goes along with it that I don't even know if I can start getting into, because the language used by this guy is so egregious. Pennsylvania man arrested for threatening slaughter FBI. This is...
What?
It's I don't know. You guys ready to drink? Civil war?
Oh, my.
So I said it the first time in the title of the South China Morning Post article, but I'll tell you this. While the FBI is claiming there are these very real threats and that they're concerned about them, Jane's Revenge has admitted to engaging in terrorism. They've taken credit for this. And where's the FBI? I'll tell you where it is.
No, it's just Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to get them declared a domestic terrorist organization. I mean, the FBI is not just, it's literally her. I mean, I'm sure she has support in Congress, but like no one is taking action against James Revenge. Remember when, when you're reading the headline, they're threatening government officials. Do you remember when that guy showed up at Brett Kavanaugh's house? I mean, they're acting like, violence is one-sided, which it really is not in this country. And obviously, I think most threats come from extremists that don't represent the majority of people on either side of the spectrum. But this is very bizarre, but we forget that it's double-sided.
I think it's actually simple. If you're the FBI and you're raiding Donald Trump, the right is very mad at you. If you're the FBI and you're investigating Trump for Russiagate, the right is very mad at you. And so imagine you're sitting in your chair and you're, reading the news, and all of a sudden Antifa is just screaming, they hate you, you're evil, you're corrupt. And then people on the right are not really saying a whole lot. You'd be like, man, these guys are crazy over here. They won't stop talking about how they want to do evil stuff. This is what the FBI is basically doing. For one, this is an example of their overt political bias. They engage in weaponized politicking, going after Trump for Russiagate, clearly fake. The FBI, Kevin Kleinsmith, I believe his name was, altered an email fabricating evidence to justify spying on the Trump campaign. Mm-hmm. Then Trump supporters get mad at the FBI, say you're all corrupt. Then a bunch of other FBI agents who are not involved and don't know that this corruption is occurring just think the Trump supporters are crazy because, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. Then the FBI starts pointing at the people who are pointing at them, and they're completely ignoring Antifa on the far left. And cherry on top, they're getting all their news from the corporate press, who's been actively defending, Antifa and the left to a great degree, not all the time, but to a great degree. So it's not so much, I would say, that you need to be concerned about a conspiracy, but an emergent phenomenon where these are the things that are causing the FBI to be inflamed, to target Trump supporters on the right.
Well, they've drummed out over the years. They've gotten rid of the people in the FBI that were there, that were not willing to do this kind of thing, to demonize people that support Trump. This is part of just demonizing anybody that disagrees with the powers that be. And that's what they've been doing since January 6th. It's what that's why they've been terrorizing American citizens who just went to Washington on January 6th and waved flags. And that's why when you have an actual person who is camped outside of Brett Kavanaugh's house and is going to kill him, that mentioned for a couple of days, but then they make these sweeping pronouncements about all these threats. It's the same thing as when they declared all the parents that went to school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. Everybody that disagrees with the weaponized FBI, with the government's, the FBI has become our Stasi now. They are just investigating people who they consider to be enemies of the administration, enemies of the government, people who disagree.